So I was discussing about conservative and non-conservative forces in the previous class. We will continue the same discussion. So work done by conservative force in a particle when the particle is displaced from one position to another position does not depend on the path followed by the particle between the two positions. But work done by non-conservative force depends on the path followed. Let us consider a simpler example. Let us suppose a block of mass m slides down one fixed inclined plane with angle of inclination theta and some height h. Next, same block or another block of same mass m slides down, or same block may slide down another inclined plane of different angle of inclination theta dash but same vertical height h. So when the block reaches the bottom of the first inclined plane, I mean when the block slides down, the inclined plane reaches the bottom of the inclined plane, work done by the gravitational force of the block in the first case is equal to mgh. In the second case, when the block slides down the second inclined plane, I mean second inclined plane is also fixed inclined plane with a different angle of inclination theta dash. So work done by the gravitational force on the block in the second case is also equal to mgh. But work done by the friction force of the block will not be the same in both the cases, because work done by the frictional force on the block depends on actual length of the inclined plane or actual length of the path along which the body has moved, and also depends on the coefficient of friction between the block and the inclined plane. That means in general, work done by non-conservative force when the body is displaced from one position to another position not only depends on the initial and final positions, not only depends on the coordinates of initial and final positions, but also depends on nature of the path and the length of the path along which the body has moved between the two positions. In general, work done by conservative force on a particle when a particle displaced from one position A to another position B is same for all different paths between the same two positions A and B. But work done by non-conservative force on a particle when it displaced from one position A to another position B depends on the path followed by the particle between the two positions. That means it's not same for all different paths between the same two positions. Example, work done by friction for the block in the first case, in the left side. Let us suppose mu is the coefficient of friction between the block and the inclined surface in the first case, which is suppose constant throughout the motion down the inclined surface. Then work done by friction for the block when it slides down the first inclined plane, you can write minus of k into f. This is the matter of the displacement down the inclined plane. H by s we can write sin theta. H is the vertical height of the inclined plane. S is the matter of displacement along the inclined plane. Matter of force for kinetic friction equal nu k into matter of normal reaction. Nu into normal reaction can write mg cos theta. And s can be written as h by sin theta. So that will be minus mu mgh into cot theta. So work done by friction force on the block in the and it slides down the second inclined plane. Theta dash is the angle of inclination of second inclined plane. Let nu dash denote the coefficient of friction between the block and second inclined plane. So using similar calculation, we can show that work done by friction for the block in second case minus nu dash into mg h into cot theta dash. That means work done by friction for the block in second case is not the same as the work done by friction for the block in the first case. But work done by gravitational for the block is same in both the cases. Vertical height of the inclined plane is same in both the cases. Next, I am going to summarize the entire discussion I have done so far about conservative and non-conservative forces. Now, if you want to write the notes, you can start. Come on, get ready with your notebook and pen. Come on, get ready with your notebook and pen. I'm going to show you the notes for conservative and non-conservative force. That means the conclusions of the discussion, a summary of the discussion I have done so far about conservative and non-conservative forces. See the first point here. The work done by conservative force on a body when the body completes a round trip and return to the initial position will be 0. Next point, force of gravity, comma, elastic force exerted by an ideal spring, and Coulomb electrical forces between two charges are examples of conservative forces. We call the spring as an ideal spring if it obeys Hooke's law. Next point, the work done by non-conservative force on the body when the body completes the round trip is not 0, is not equal to 0. Come on, those who are writing the notes, they can complete writing these 3 points. Come on, finish writing the notes. In case you need more time to copy the notes, you can take a pause and take your own time. I'm going to show the notes continuation to this. Friction, comma, air resistance, comma, viscous forces due to a fluid, and force of inelasticity are examples for non-conservative forces. The next point, see here. If a body completes a round trip under action of conservative force or forces. I written letter yes within bracket, it means in some examples there may be more than one conservative force on the body. So in that case you have to take the plural. So again I repeat this statement. If a body completes round trip under action of conservative force or forces only, then it returns to the original position with the same kinetic energy which it had initially. If a non-conservative force acts on the body, then it returns to the initial position with a different kinetic energy. Come on, finish writing these notes. In case you need more time to copy the notes, you can take a pause and take your own time. Next, I am going to discuss the concept of potential energy. Next, I am going to discuss the concept of potential energy. You can stop writing the notes now. You just listen here. As you might have heard the term potential energy in the school level classes also, in your lower classes, either in 8th class or 9th class. So, as you study in lower classes, potential energy is defined as the energy possessed by a body or system by virtue of its position or state. So a body may have some capacity for doing work due to its position or state. If a body has some capacity for doing work due to its position or state, we can say that it possesses potential energy. It has potential energy. As you studied in the lower class also, the potential energy. There are various types of potential energy: gravitational potential energy, elastic potential energy, electrical potential energy, like that. So potential energy of a body or system represent the energy possessed by the body or system by virtue of its position or state or configuration. That means whenever the body has some capacity for doing work due to its position or state, we can say it has potential energy. So here if you consider the water that is stored in a dam at some height above the ground, if you consider the water stored in a dam at some height above the ground, the falling water can rotate a turbine which generates electricity. That means the water stored in the dam has this capacity for doing work. That means in rotating the turbine and generating electricity due to its height or position with respect to the ground. So this capacity for doing work due to its height or position related to the ground we call gravitational potential energy, because work is done by the gravitational forces on the falling water when it is allowed to fall. The spring in a compressor space, the wound spring inside a watch, if you consider spring based watch, the wound spring inside a watch keeps the minute's hand and the hour's hand of the watch running, rotating for the whole day. So the wound spring in the watch has this capacity for doing work due to state of stream. So in general, if a body has some capacity for doing work due to state or position, we can say it has potential energy. So the energy potential stored in the wound spring we call elastic potential energy, because work is done by the elastic forces within the spring. Both examples I have mentioned, that is the water stored in a dam at some height above the ground, the wound spring in a watch, the potential energy first changes into kinetic energy while doing work. So the gravitational potential energy of a body increases when the height of the body above the surface of the ground increases. The water stored in the dam has gravitational potential energy due to its height above the ground. So in general, gravitational potential of a given body of given mass m increases when its height above the surface of the earth increases. Now we are going to discuss about the mathematical way we can find the change in the potential of the body as it moves from one position to another position. Let us consider a block of mass m which is lifted vertically upwards by applying a force in the upward direction whose magnitude is more than its weight mg. That means the body is under action of two forces. You need not write any running notes at present. I will show you the notes later. You can just concentrate to listen. So I am discussing a simpler example where a body of mass m is lifted vertically upwards away from surface of the earth by applying an upward force whose magnitude is more than its weight mg in the absence of air resistance. the body is moved vertically upward away from surface of ground. By applying an upward force whose magnitude is more than its weight mg in the absence of air resistance. I put a simple question. What happens to the gravitational potential energy of the body? As you might have studied in the school level also, that the gravitational potential of the body will be increased when its height above the surface of ground or earth increases. I put you another question now, another simple question. What happens to the kinetic energy of the body in this case? Again, I repeat my question. If the body is lifted vertically upwards, by applying an upward force whose magnitude is more than its weight mg in the absence of air resistance. That means here Fa is the magnitude of the lifting force applied by some external agent which lifts the body. What happens to the kinetic energy of the body as it moves in the upward direction? In this case, the kinetic energy of the body will also be increasing. Because when the magnitude of upward force is more than its weight mg, there will be a net resultant force in the upward direction. That means there will be some acceleration in the upward direction. So when the acceleration is in the direction of the velocity, the magnitude of velocity increases during the motion. So in this case, gravitational potential of the body increases. The kinetic energy of the body also increases. From work energy theorem, the change in the kinetic energy of the body is equal to total work done by all the forces acting on the body. So here in this example, change in the kinetic of the body is equal to work done by the lifting force applied by the agent on the body plus work done by the gravitational force on the body. So change in the kinetic energy of the body equal to work done by the lifting force applied by the agent on the body plus work done by the gravitational force. Work done by the gravitational force on the body can be written as minus mgh, where h is the vertical height through which the body rises. Of course, here it is understood that h is very, very small compared to the radius of the earth. So work done by the lifting agent of the body can be written as equal to increase in the kinetic energy of the body plus mgh. In this example, gravitational potential of the body increases, kinetic energy of the body also increases. The gravitational potential of the body relative to the earth increases and kinetic energy of the body also increases. Therefore, we can say that work done by the lifting agent is partly used for increasing the kinetic energy of the body and partly utilized for increasing the gravitational potential of the body. Suppose if there is no change in the kinetic energy of the body, a change in kinetic energy, the body is lifted slowly with uniform speed. So that change in the kinetic energy is zero. Then work done by the lifting agent is equal to mgh, or negative of work done by the gravitational force of the body. So when there is no increase in the kinetic energy of the body, you can say that work done by the lifting agent against the gravitational force will be given to the body as potential or gravitational potential. So when the body is lifted vertically upwards against the gravitational force acting on the body, as I was discussing before, by applying an upward force whose magnitude is may be greater than its weight mg, then gravitational potential increases or change in the potential energy will be positive. Change in the potential energy of the body as it moves from one position to another position, or change the potential system as it moves from one position to another position, equal to potentiality of the system in the final position minus potential system at the initial position. Here U subscript I is used to denote the potential of the system or body at the initial state. UF represents the potential of the body or system in the final state. Change in the potential of the body is denoted by delta U. So, and the body is lifted vertically upward. Change in the potential G delta U will be positive because potential G increases. But work done with the gravitational force of the body will be negative in this case. That means whenever the body is displaced in a direction opposite the conservative force on it. That means when the direction of the displacement of the body is opposite to the conservative force acting on it, then potential of the body will be increasing. And work done by the conservative force will be negative. The body is suppose allowed to fall freely under gravity from certain height above the surface, which may be small, very small compared to radius of the earth. So in this case, work done by the gravitational force of the body as it falls through vertical height h will be a plus mgh. H is very small compared to radius of earth. But in this case, gravitational potential energy decreases as it moves downward toward the earth's surface. Or in this case, delta U will be negative. So in general, when a body undergoes some displacement in the direction of the conservative force acting on it, then potential of the body or system will decrease. In general, the change in the potential energy of a body or system when the system passes from one initial state I to another final state F, denoted by delta U, which is equal to UF minus UI. UI is the potential in the initial state, UF is the potential system in the final state. The change in the potential of the body or system as the system passes from initial state I to another final state F, defined as equal to the work done against the conservative forces as the body or system passes from initial state I to final state F. Work done against conservative forces means it is a negative of work done by the conservative forces. Suppose if WC represents work done by the conservative force on the body or system. In case if there is more than one single conservative force, we can say that WC represents total work done by the conservative forces on the body or system. Then change in the potential of the body or system as the system or body passes from one initial state I to final state F, defined as equal to work done against the conservative forces. Work done against conservative forces means it is a negative of work done by the conservative forces. So delta U equal to minus WC. So change in the potential of the body or system and the system and the body or system pass from initial state I to final state F is defined by the equation delta U equal to minus WC. Here W subscript C represents the work done by conservative forces on the body or system. So when WC is positive, delta U will be negative. That means when work done by the conservative force on the body or system is positive, that means when the body or system undergo displacement in the conservative force, then delta U will be negative. That is potential energy in the final state will be less than the potential energy in the initial state if delta U is negative, or potential as the body or system decreases. Example, if a body falls freely under gravity from certain height near the Earth's surface, the body moves towards the Earth's surface. work done by conservative force means gravitational force of the body is positive, but change in potential energy will be negative. That means potential of the body decreases. Another example you come across in second year. In the example second year syllabus. Example, if a charged ion like a proton, a charged particle moves in the electric field produced by static charges. The charged particle is free to move under the action of the electric force acting on it in the electrostatic field produced by static charges. Then, as the charged particle moves in the electric field, in the direction of the electric force acting on it, potential of the charged particle, electric potential will decrease. System will decrease. So, change in the potential of the body or system when the system passes from one state I to another state F is given by the equation delta equal to minus WC. WC is the work done by the conservative force or conservative forces acting on the system or body. So, coming to the first example of gravitational potential energy, the body is suppose lifted from one position A to another position B. So that the body rises to a vertical height h between these two positions. It's not necessary that the body is lifted vertical upward. Sometimes it may move along a curved path also. Let h small h denote the vertical height to which the body rises as it moves from position A to position B. Then change in the potential of the body in this example. Change the gravitational potential of the body. Actually, more precisely, it is a change in the gravitational potential system of the body and the earth. But usually at the intermediate level, in the language used in intermediate textbooks or 11th class textbook, we say potential of the body. More precisely, we have to say that it is a change delta U represents change in the potential of the body system of the body and the earth. Is equal to potential, gravitational potential of the body in the final position B minus gravitational potential at the initial position A. That is equal to work done against conservative forces. Here work done against conservative forces means delta U we write minus WC. Here the conservative force is the gravitational force. So work done by conservative force or gravitational force of the body when the body rises through height h, in this case will be equal to minus mgh, because the gravitational force mg acts opposite to this vertical displacement h. So work done minus WC means you have to write minus of minus mgh or plus mgh. So difference in the gravitational potential g of the body of mass m at position B minus potential energy at the position A equal plus mgh. But of course, this formula holds good only when h is very small compared to radius of the earth. So we cannot give a formula to calculate. You cannot use this formula mgh to calculate the absolute gravitational potential of the body at a given position. Strictly speaking, this mgh gives you the difference in the gravitational potential of the body at the positions A and P. So to measure the potential at the position B, we have to choose some reference position where potential energy can be conveniently taken as 0. So when the center of gravity of a body of mass m rises through a vertical height h near the earth's surface, then the increase in the gravitational potential of the system of the body and the earth can be written as mgh, if h is very small compared to the radius of the earth. So now next I am going to show you the notes for the potential energy, conservative and non-conservative forces, and potential for the potential energy concept. That means whatever I have just discussed now, I would like to show you the conclusion statements for this discussion. So those who are writing the notes, come and get ready with your notebook and pen. Come on, write down the points. I'm going to summarize the discussion I have done about the term potential energy. First point is when a body within brackets or system undergoes displacement direct to the conservative force on it, then its potential energy decreases. Next point, when a body or system undergoes displacement against conservative force, opposite to conservative force, then the potential of the body or system increases. The change in the potential energy of a body or system. Here, after the change of potential of body within brackets, here I have not shown, but you write it. Change of potential of body within brackets or system, like here. The same way here also write. When it passes from initial state I to final state F, defined as the work done against conservative force or forces, where delta U equal to minus WC. Come on, finish writing the notes. So in case you need more time to copy the notes, you can take a pause and take your own time. Where WC represents work done by conservative forces on the system. And delta U can be written as UF minus UI, where U subscript I represents the potential of the body or system in the initial state. U subscript F represents the potential of the body or system in the final state. Come on, finish writing the notes up to here. In case you need more time, we can take a pause. Next, I am going to discuss the term elastic potential energy stored in an ideal spring. Now we can say the spring is ideal if it obeys Hooke's law. We can say that the spring is obeying Hooke's law if the elongation produced in the spring within the elastic limit directly proportional to the magnitude of the stretching force applied. So let us consider a spring, an ideal spring, whose one end is connected to a rigid support, a wall or any fixed surface. When no stretching force is applied to the free end of spring, the spring will have certain length. The length of spring when it is neither stretched nor compressed is called as the natural length of spring. So the length of the spring when it is not stretched and not compressed is called natural length of spring, which is denoted by L subscript 0. The natural length of spring I usually denote it by L subscript 0. So the length of the spring when no stretching force is applied at the free end of spring, the spring is not stretched and not compressed. So when the spring is neither stretched nor compressed, it will have certain length denoted by L0. That is called natural length of spring. So when the spring has its natural length L0, elastic force by spring on the rigid support will be 0. That means the spring does not exert any pulling force on the rigid support. Now I consider the case where one end of spring is connected fixed to the rigid support and a stretching force is applied at the free end of spring by an external agent. Agent means the body or object which applies the stretching force on the spring. In some of the problems which we may discuss in future, the free end of spring may be connected to a block of mass M, and the block may be pulled towards right, so that the block or the agent stretches the spring towards right. The free end of spring is directly pulled. It may be directly pulled by hand of a person, or sometimes the free end of spring may be connected to a block of mass M and the block may be pulled towards right, so that the spring stretches by some distance x from its natural length. Then, cutting Newton's third law, we can say that to every action there is always equal and opposite reaction. So in the present discussion, action is the stretching force applied on the spring by the agent. Agent means it represents the body or person whichever applies the stretching force on the spring. And denote F subscript A is the stretching force applied on the spring by the pulling agent or pulling object. So direction of the reaction will be opposite action. So if the stretching force applied on the spring by the agent acts towards right, then the reaction force exerted by the spring on the agent acts towards left side. So if action is the force, stretching force applied on the spring by the agent, then the reaction will be the force exerted by the spring on the agent. This reaction force exerted by the spring on the agent is we call elastic force, denoted by F subscript F. It means force by spring. So if the spring is an ideal spring, it means if it obeys Hooke's law, can say that the spring is obeying Hooke's law when the elongation is proportional to the stretching force applied within the elastic limits. You just concentrate only to listen, don't write running notes now. So the Hooke's law for springs can be stated in this way. Can be written mathematically as like this: Fs proportional to minus x. The negative sign is used to indicate that the elastic force by the spring acts opposite to the elongation of spring. So we can put a constant of proportionality denoted by K. K is a constant for a given ideal spring called elastic force constant of spring. This elastic force constant of spring is numerically equal to the stretching force required to produce unit elongation of the spring. So when the spring is stretched within the elastic limit, the magnitude of the elastic force exerted on the spring by the agent at the instant shown in the second figure can be written as plus Kx, because it acts in the direction of the elongation. So K equal FA by X. So elastic force constant of spring is numerically equal to the stretching force required to produce unit elongation spring. This elastic force constant of spring is expressed in Newton per meter in the SI system. So here we are going to calculate the work done by the elastic force by the spring on the agent or on the mass connected to the free end of spring. Agent means the body, object or the body whichever exerts stretching force on the spring, we call it as agent. So if you want to write in vector form, if you choose the direction of the elongation of spring as positive direction of x-axis, then vector form the elastic force by spring you can write Fs bar equal to minus kx into I cap. Here for the given figure. So the work, this elastic force by the spring is not a constant force. It will vary with increase in x. So it's a variable force. To calculate work done by the variable force, you cannot simply multiply the instantaneous magnitude of the force with the elongation of spring. So you may assume the magnitude of the elastic force by the spring to be almost constant when the length of the spring changes by an infinitesimally small amount from x to x plus dx. I mean when the elongation of spring changes from x to x plus. In the figure, second figure shown in the second diagram, the length of the spring will be equal to L0 plus x. Remember that x is not the length of spring, x represents the change in the length of spring. Or you can say x is equal to difference in the length of spring and natural length L0. L equal to L0 plus x. L is the length of spring after stretching force applied. So the elastic force by the spring acts opposite to the elongation of spring. So when the length of spring changes from L0 plus x to L0 plus x plus dx, the work done by the elastic force by the spring for this infinitesimally small displacement dx can be written as Fs dx or minus kx dx, because the elastic force by spring in the given figure acts opposite to the displacement of the elongation of the spring, so that's why we have got negative sign here. So let us suppose the initial length of spring we denote it by Li, that is equal to L0 plus xi in the general case. The final length of spring we denote by L subscript f, that is equal to L0 plus ss. So we are going to calculate the work done by elastic force by the spring when the length of spring changes from Li to Lf. That means xi, x subscript I is used to denote the difference between the initial length and natural length L0. X subscript f is used to denote the difference between the final length and natural length L0. So work done with elastic force by the spring on the agent, on the pulling agent or mass. On the agent means the block of mass. It may be a block of mass connected to the free end of spring, or agent means the block of mass m or object which is attached to the free end of spring which applies the stretching force on the spring. So work done with elastic force by the spring on the stretching agent or stretching mass, on the mass which stretches the spring when length of spring changes from Li to Lf is given by integral dWs from x equal to xi to x equal to xf. You can write dW subscript s equal to minus kx dx. Here k is a constant for a given spring independent of the elongation of spring. K is a constant for a given elastic spring or ideal spring. So integral x dx will be equal to x square by 2. From xi to xf. So apply the limits here. So work done with elastic force by the spring. You get minus half k xf square minus xi square. So in general, when one end of spring is fixed to a rigid support, if a stretching or sometimes compressing force may be applied at the free end of spring by an agent, then work done with elastic force by the spring on the stretching agent connected to the free end of spring when the length of spring changes from Li to Lf is given by half k xi square minus xf square. Now don't try to copy the notes at present. I will show you the notes separately. From definition of elastic potential energy, in general change in potential energy of the body or system. The body or system passes from one state to another state is given by the minus Wc. Wc the work done by the conservative forces on the system. So change in the elastic potential of spring, can write delta equal to minus Ws. That is half k into xf square minus xi square. So I will be continue showing the notes for this discussion in my next class. So delta U may change in potential energy in the final position minus potential at the initial position. We assume elastic potential of spring as 0 when the spring has its natural length L0. That is when the spring is not stretched and not compressed. We assume that it has no elastic potential energy. We'll continue my discussion next class.